15 meters above the forest floor, inside a hollow in an oak trunk. The difference between life and death shrinks to a matter of centimeters. No safety nets, no second chances. For this small forest dweller, every day is a choreography of balance, memory, and silent survival. But before mastering the heights, it had to survive the darkness. It is born inside a tree hollow, lined with shredded bark, dry leaves, and twigs, hidden deep within the trunk where shadows drift across the forest floor below. The newborn, blind and fragile, skin pink, tail bare, breathing shallow as it presses toward warmth, while the mother slips in and out, carrying seeds and nuts cached weeks earlier, never lingering, never careless, because stillness draws attention. Days pass. Fur darkens along the spine. Muscles thicken beneath the skin. Claws curve into tools made for gripping bark. The eyes open, and pale light leaks through the nest walls, revealing blurred shapes and the towering silhouette of its mother. Sound sharpens too. Acorns cracking against wood. Feathers beating overhead. The forest begins to announce itself. The youngster tries to stand, fails, tries again, chews on twigs, pulls at fibers. Everything becomes information. The ground remains an unseen threat far below. About a month later, the tail fluffs, ears rise, and one morning the mother pauses outside the entrance instead of climbing in. The young squirrel inching forward until sunlight floods its vision. And the emptiness beneath becomes clear, branches crossing like unstable ladders, the forest floor impossibly distant, wind sliding past the opening as the mother stops on a nearby trunk and watches without sound. While the mother leaps effortlessly and the youngster follows badly. Chest slamming wood, clinging by chance, pulling itself back up and trying again. Weeks turn into constant rehearsal, racing along limbs, climbing headfirst down trunks, swinging around branches using only the hind legs, discovering the tail as a rudder in midair and blanket in cold, learning to listen for the crow's harsh cry, the owl's heavy wing. The whisper of needles in pine crowns. And above all, the shrill alarm call of other squirrels that freezes movement instantly. The mother flattening against bark. The youngster copying her as a fox threads through ferns below, and the lesson engraving itself into instinct. Motion invites death. Stillness keeps you alive. Summer brings abundance, acorns and walnuts raining from the canopy. Maple seeds spinning through sunlight. Green cones swelling on pines. The young squirrel watching the mother dig shallow pits. Drop a nut and disguise it with leaves dozens of times in a morning before copying her, burying one treasure, then another, while unknowingly mapping landmarks into memory. A twisted root, a pale stone, a scarred stump, turning the forest into coordinates that months later beneath snow and ice will guide it back to meals hidden half a year earlier. Cold arrives fast. Leaves burn orange, then carpet the ground. The nest thickens with moss and bark fibers. The youngster ventures out alone now, digs, fails, digs again, finds a cache. Curls with its tail wrapped tight to trap heat, moves little, waits for the warmest hour. Every excursion measured because winter is the season when mistakes are fatal. Spring loosens the forest, and without ceremony the mother drifts away. The young squirrel claiming new roots, new trunks, new escape holes, flattening itself when shadows pass overhead, zigzagging through bark to confuse pursuit. One afternoon, freezing as a hawk plunges past, the bird missing, survival writing another rule into muscle and nerve. In its second year, scents thicken in the air. Rivals appear in frantic chases through branches, bodies flying between trees in reckless arcs, tests of endurance and nerve that end in separation and silence. Weeks later, a new dray rising higher in the canopy, thicker, hidden, waiting for the next generation to feel the dark for the first time. Years sharpen every motion. Jumps become economical, routes efficient, danger anticipated before it arrives. Thousands of seeds buried, storms endured, territories shifted, branches memorize that creak before breaking, hollows that hold during lightning. In the forest, that alone is success. As evening spills between trunks and shadows stretch across the leaf litter, the squirrel returns to its refuge, curling inward with its tail drawn close while wind rattles the canopy outside. Tomorrow it will run again. Remember again, plant the forest's future without ever knowing it. Because a squirrel's life is not spectacle, it is motion, memory, and quiet survival among the branches. Years accumulate quietly. Muscles lose some of their spring. Reaction time narrows by fractions. Jumps shorten. Routes simplify. The squirrel still remembers thousands of hidden seeds, but it chooses carefully which ones to seek. Cold mornings stiffen joints. Climbing slows. Rest stretches longer. The canopy stays familiar. Yet it no longer forgives errors. Each season becomes calculation. Energy gained. Energy spent. One winter lingers too long. Snow piles high, storms repeat, food thins. The squirrel digs where memory insists something waits, finds nothing, moves again, frozen soil. Then a single forgotten nut, slow eating, strength saved. In old age, survival shifts from expansion to conservation, movement minimized, shelters chosen early. Younger squirrels race while experience stays still. The nest lowers closer to thick limbs. Storms hammer leaves. Lightning splits trunks. The squirrel waits them out, breathing shallow, heart steady but tired. One quiet dawn arrives. No urgency, no descent, only cold weight in limbs. Energy fading gradually. No dramatic fall, no predator, just system slowing, circulation weakening, temperature control failing. Somewhere inside the dray, the body grows still. Death in the wild is rarely spectacle. It is biology completing its cycle. Growth, reproduction, decline, matter returning to soil, insects, fungi, bacteria, feeding roots, trees, seeds. New squirrels. The forest closes the loop. Nearby, a young squirrel climbs from another nest, tail short, steps unsure, repeating the same choreography, balance, memory, survival, generation after generation, from darkness to motion to stillness again. That is the process of life.